important to understand the context of like the Roman Empire and what was going on with the religions there. So, for example, the dynasties, whenever they arose, they needed to justify why they're in power and why they've been given that divine rule to rule over all these various regions. So forming a religious cult in a way was very important to Roman statecraft. Emperors, they really did focus in on the religion of the time. It wasn't like the modern day where the rulers are really separated from the theology of their regions. They were really focused in on that.
Oh, so like the state and religion wasn't separate?
Yeah, it wasn't separate. It wasn't separate. So like they really focused in on the cults they were born into by birth, and by effect of that, the people that are under them in the imperial court, so the people that are working with the emperor and in the family of the emperor, they would often have motivation to promote the religion that the emperor is following.
Right.
So it was something that was really institutionalized in their system. An example of this, prior to the period we're going to kind of focus in on, was Augustus, the Emperor Augustus, and his court. They actually commissioned a composition by a person called Virgil, who created this Aeneid. And what this is, it's widely regarded as one of the greatest works in Latin. And it tells the story of a figure called Aeneas, a character from the Iliad. Have you heard of him?
I've heard of him, yeah.
He becomes the ancestor of the Romans. And he was a hero already known in like myths in that region. But what Virgil does when he was commissioned by Augustus was he started collecting all these stories of Aeneas's wanderings, like his associations with Rome, like all these stories that were around his like association with Rome, his descriptions, and then like composing that into a compelling founding myth, an epic, that tied Rome to the legacies of Troy from the Iliad, explained the Punic Wars, because Troy is associated with the Punic Wars.
Yes.
So explained that, glorified Roman virtues, or why Rome is the greatest, and legitimized the Julio-Claudian dynasty that Augustus was a member of.
Could you explain what the Julio-Claudian dynasty is?
Yeah, so if I'm remembering correctly, it's like kind of the emperors have a dynasty. So when an emperor gets into power, they justify their rule through what I described, and then their successors, so they're like family members that take over them, are part of the same dynasty.
So is it like similar to like Herodian dynasty?
Yeah. So Herodian dynasty, and like like everyone in the Herodian dynasty is someone who's a family member from him, or like very closely allied. So it's kind of a similar thing. So what was happening in what Virgil did with the Aeneid, I hope I'm saying that right, but what he did is kind of like create this founding myth, which explained like why Romans are the best, like gave the moral justification for it, tied Rome to previous legends of Greece, like of Troy, explained the wars that were going on at the time, the Punic Wars, and legitimized the dynasty, why the Julio-Claudian dynasty is in power. And I'm saying, like, why is it so far-fetched that the same thing is happening with the Gospels, which is literally the next dynasty coming in, that the newly established Flavian dynasty, they promote materials floating around about Isa alayhi salam, the same way like Aeneas's material was floating around. They forge a compelling myth and epic to like kind of, try and shape purpose for the Roman Empire. They tie Rome to the legends of what was happening in Palestine, just like Aeneas, the Aeneas stories did for the regions of Greece. And also explain the Jewish revolt, what was going on in the Jewish revolt, and justify what happened after that, the same way Virgil did with the Aeneas stories, where he explained the Punic Wars. So you see, like, there's a lot of reasons why the same thing would occur if this is a standard practice that dynasties did whenever they took over in the Roman Empire.
So in other words, the Romans used existing stories, but they molded it into their narrative. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I'm saying potentially Allahu Alam, but like that is standard practice by what Romans did. And even if they weren't commissioning those stories, promoting those stories to try and like emphasize Roman virtue and character, and towards forming an epic and story.
Embody it into the Roman culture tradition, but using a historical figure. And that's what they did with Isa alayhi salam.
And they did with Aeneas.
And they did with Aeneas as well. And that's subhanallah. It just goes back to the ayah of the Quran. They're only imitating the disbelievers of old, and subhanallah.
Yeah, so like the story of Aeneas is, often like when Christians approach us and they say, how can like this be a whole thing where they're shifting the whole message of Isa alayhi salam? Well, they did that with Aeneas. They kind of forged all these compelling myths that were lying around, these like potential ties to Greece, this, that, the other, and then they turned this Greek figure like into
A Roman figure.
a Roman figure.
Right. And they did the same with Isa alayhi salam.
Yeah.
From a Palestinian Jewish figure into a Roman sympathizer.
And this is not like, I'm not talking about like hundreds of years later. This is dynasties that are right next to each other. So